again. This is my third idea con. Third. What they say? They say 3 times, third time's a charm. And I'm feeling so energized because now, and I feel like people think it's cliche when we say now more than ever. But the reality is there will always be a now more than ever, right? We should always bring the same energy, the same urgency to solving problems, to addressing issues that we care about in our communities, no matter what year it is, no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is. We got to level up every single year. And what I want to talk to you about this morning and really light a fire under you around is that we got to be willing to step outside of the box. We got to do something different every time we seek to approach a problem or a situation. My pastor growing up, for those of you who cannot tell, I grew up as a childhood preacher. I started preaching at the age of 11 years old. And my mom said it was sooner than then. But that was my first sermon, officially. And then I was licensed at age 14, ordained at age 20. But my pastor, who was my mentor, his name is Pastor William O'Neill. He passed a few years ago due to cancer, but was one of the most incredible human beings I've ever encountered on this earth. And he would always say, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. Can y'all say that back to me? If you do, you will get. Hold on to that. Because another saying, quite often that's claimed, is that someone who does the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting different results, that is the definition of what? Have y'all heard that one before? Insanity. Right? If you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and now you're expecting something different to happen this time, that's quite insane. But we're not insane in here, are we? Are we insane? No. I mean, the only thing we're insane about is breaking the problems, right? Being that committed to doing something different. But that is the commitment. That is what this moment in time demands of us, is that we step outside of our comfort zones. Many of us have gotten complacent with trying to do what seems easy. It's going to be the quickest route. But sometimes you have to take the long route to really make change. Change doesn't typically happen overnight. But in order to evoke that, we have to be willing to step outside of the box. I was reflecting in preparation for this conversation this morning on what are some of the things that tend to keep us in the box. And I'm thinking about growing up, and y'all love the box that they made for the conversation today. It's beautiful. I love it. But boxes keep us caged in. Boxes confine us. Boxes tell us what our limits are. Don't they? Boxes keep us restricted. They try to control us. They trap us. They block our vision. They limit our ability to break free. That's what boxes are intended to do. They're intended to be containers, to keep things confined. Have any of you ever felt like you've been in a box? Can relate to feeling like I'm being limited? I'm being told how far I can go, how high I can reach, how wide I can spread. Have you ever second guessed your worth and your value, your ability to make change, your ability to build something, create something? Have you ever doubted yourself? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I intelligent enough? Am I diverse enough? Am I wise enough? Do I have enough resources? Do I have enough money? All of these things seek to limit us, and quite often are influenced by where we grew up, who we grew up around, what we had, what we didn't have, influencing our perception of what we believe is possible. Boxes. Boxes. Boxes can be literal. They can be actual things, but they can also be figurative. They can be in your mind. Some of us are living in very imaginary boxes. Mentally, maybe even spiritually. You may feel like you're in a box, seeking and striving for something, to connect with something deeper, more profound, something bigger than yourself. Boxes. And I've come here today, this day, IdeaCon 2023. Yes. To encourage you to step outside the box, get outside your comfort zones. And quite often what keeps many of us from stepping outside of the box and outside of our comfort zone is fear. Fear that we'll fail, that we can't do it, that we won't accomplish it, or fear that what if I succeed and I can't handle it? And I won't actually be able to measure up, or I actually won't know what to do. Fear can come in various forms. I remember when I ran for city council in 2019, I was preparing for final exams at BU Law at the same time that we were running around the streets getting signatures to get on the ballot. And people told me I was crazy. How are you running for city council to represent Austin and Brighton, and you're in final exams right now? You've only been in Boston for 3 years. Why would you run? But I saw an issue. One, that I lived in a district that was overwhelmingly young people. Y'all know about Austin Brighton. A district that had never had a person of color represented. And then the issues of LGBTQ plus folk were not at the forefront as I thought they should be. So we lived in a district where we had never had a counselor that represented that identity either. And equity matters so much to me that I thought it was important to be at the forefront of the race. Running for city council for me wasn't about winning. It was about pushing the envelope. It's about raising and elevating voices in our community, mobilizing people to get involved who had never been involved. And so I could have just waited another 10 years when I felt like I was ready and I had all of my ducks in a row. But I didn't. I decided to step outside the box, step outside of my comfort zone, to do it anyways. And sometimes change making requires that we do it anyway. No matter if we get set back, no matter if we get discouraged, discounted, disrespected in the process, there has to be a commitment to what you feel deep within. So today I encourage you to reflect on what matters to me. What do I care about? And do I care about it enough to do something different? Do I care about it enough to step outside of the box? Outside of the confounds, outside of what people told me I could and could not do, could and could not accomplish, could and could not achieve, outside of where they told me I could and could not belong. You have that power. You have that capacity. You have that ability. And so in my conclusion, I want everyone in this room to close your eyes. Get outside of your head. Whatever you're thinking about, stop thinking about it. Don't look at me. I see some of you just looking. You don't know what to do right now. Close your eyes. That's the instruction. Stop thinking about whatever you're thinking about. Stop worrying about what is next. Stop worrying about what happened last night. Pause and be present in this moment. Take a deep breath. Notice that breath. You are alive. You are alive right now. And as long as there's breath in your lungs, that means you have capacity. Now think about something that matters to you. What matters to you? And the thing that matters to you, my challenge to you, is that you ideate. Use your imagination to think about how you push what matters to you forward. And innovate. How do you do something new to address it? One more deep breath, my friends. And as you open your eyes, I want you to open them with a profound and renewed conviction that I have the capacity to make change. I have the capacity to do something different. I have the capacity to achieve my wildest imagination, my wildest dreams. So your charge today is to, one, everybody say, ideate. 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 Use that imagination. Use that gift to dream. And number two, everybody say, innovate. Innovate. Come up with something new. Do something different. Because why? If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. All right, Idea Con, y'all have an amazing day today. Today is about to be amazing. It's about to be profound. There are some incredible speakers that are coming after me who are going to take you through the nuances of their experiences, building businesses, making impact and change in our communities. And so my charge, I hope as you close your eyes, you make space for yourself to receive. Because so often we're running 100 miles per hour and we don't make space to receive. So I hope that you soak it all in like a sponge today, and that you be receptive and you be open-minded, and that you be ready to leave here today like never before, ready to do something different, ready to step outside the box, and ready to tell anybody and anything that tells you what you can and cannot do, that you have the capacity, and that you've come to show up in this world to be different and to be you. Much love, my friends. Much love. And before they come, I didn't see it, but on March the 2nd, I'm hosting an event at the Bill Lab at 6 p.m. Oh, they about to say it after me? Okay, so y'all say it again. But I want to see all of you, well, not everybody, because it won't fit everybody, but as many of you as possible to talk about the art of networking. But I'll let y'all tell them again because they got a QR code and all the things. Y'all give it up for our host today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan Allen. Let's give one more round of applause to Jonathan. Thank you so much for that inspiring message on stepping outside the box. And you can actually engage with the box outside in the lobby and interact with it all day. To hear more, as Jonathan mentioned, you can sign up for the March 2nd workshop right here on the art of networking. It's at the Build Lab, and we look forward to seeing you there.
In fact, you can sign up for that workshop right now. Simply scan the QR code and RSVP to learn more about Leadership Brainery, as well as his program, Dear Future Colleague, which helps people from underrepresented backgrounds get into graduate school.
And now the time is upon us. We'd like to invite 4 student founders to the stage to share how they've learned to step outside the box.
Each year, IdeaCon identifies current students and recent alumni from BU and beyond who are exceptional leaders in the innovation space.
This year, Ignite speakers are students and recent grads from BU, Northeastern, and UMass Lowell, and are each here to share their experiences as founders of startups.
It's a chance to hear from our peers about their creativity, frustration, and ingenuity in launching their own ventures. And hopefully their stories will even ignite your own ideas.
Nice, Justin. Ignite speeches will be followed by an Ask Me Anything session, so listen closely and keep those questions in mind.
Make sure you continue the conversation today in the lobby. Rachel and Seth both have tables, so be sure to check them out. First up is Rachel Dahm, the founder of Rooted Living, a mission-driven, eco-friendly, plant-based snack company that uses compostable packaging as well as whole and natural ingredients. She started Rooted Living while a freshman at Northeastern, and since then has turned it into a venture selling thousands of snack bags each term. She also was recently featured in Boston Knows 25 Under 25. Welcome, Rachel.
Last year, I moved into my first ever apartment on my own. 1 bedroom in Boston, right near Northeastern University, where I go to school. But what really excited me about this apartment was this little nook in the living room that I decided I was gonna devote completely to my company. Luckily, this apartment was basically furnished already, so the only thing I needed to buy was a bookshelf for the nook to put all of the company's bits and pieces on. So I went online to Target's website, obviously, and I ordered a bookshelf, which promptly arrived just a few days later. I'm not really sure why. I think maybe it was because it was shown that way in the picture, or because I'd never built furniture before. I thought it was gonna arrive fully assembled. It didn't. It arrived in a completely flat box, and so that when I took all of the parts out and the screws and the bolts, I was pretty instantly hit with a wave of panic and dread, which I know may sound extreme, but I have never built furniture before. So I put everything back in the box and I set it aside for 4 months. And then one evening, I just couldn't stare at this pile of dread anymore. And so I took everything back out of the box and I started to build. And I looked at the instruction manual, and I kid you not, 10 minutes later, I had a bookshelf. Yeah. Thank you. The thing was, I had made this 10-minute task a 4-month one, based on what I thought I was good at or not good at. And it demonstrated to me just how powerful my limiting beliefs can be. And it's really only through the practice of facing these beliefs for what they are, beliefs, that I was able to transform that energy that I had spent blocking myself to propelling myself forward. But it all started as a high school athlete who relied on snacks pretty frequently to keep me fueled, but honestly hated the amount of waste that I was producing from my snacking habits alone. Not to mention all of the weird ingredients that I could barely pronounce that were wrapped inside what were seemingly healthy snacks. And so I took matters into my own hands and I started making my own snacks with no creepy ingredients, and I could put them in completely sustainable packaging. It was a great self-solution, but it actually wasn't until I got to college that I realized that other people were looking for this solution too. And that's when I started Rooted Living, an eco-friendly, plant-based snack company that uses fully compostable packaging that breaks down in roughly 3 months, and no refined ingredients in our snacks. Essentially, they're snacks that are good for you and good for the planet. And we launched about a year ago, and since then, I have sold almost 3,000 bags of our first ever snack, granola. It all started with building a supply chain, which was tricky, but I got to partner with incredible groups doing bioplastic innovation and research that allow us to offer our fully biodegradable packaging. I also partnered with a co-manufacturer that produces for big brands like Pan. And I just this year managed to raise over $60,000 of funding because I have a very clear vision of how Rooted Living will help create a healthier and more sustainable future. And I tell you these things because it can be clear how much Rooted Living has grown in the 3 years that I've been building it, but much less clear, and I think way more important, how much I have grown through this process. So I would like to share with you some of the top limiting beliefs that I've faced throughout this time of starting my company and what I've learned from debunking them. Limiting belief number 1, entrepreneurs look a certain way. From the beginning of starting this company, I had this image in my head of what entrepreneurs looked like. Probably a man in a suit who was firm and declarative and probably loved looking at financial projections all day. I was a 19-year-old psychology student who felt more soft-spoken and sensitive, and definitely did not like looking at financial projections at all. And so I would often ask myself, who am I trying to revolutionize the snack industry. And initially, I would ask that question rhetorically in defeat. But when I was a freshman at Northeastern, I found this group on campus during a winter involvement fair called WISE, and their purpose and their mission was to empower women to take the things that they're passionate about and grow them. And I didn't realize that is what entrepreneurship was. And so all of a sudden, I had role models and people in the space that were entrepreneurs that I could look up to and see myself becoming. And so I got to ask myself that question again: who am I to try to revolutionize an unsustainable industry? Well, I was a passionate college student with a vision and mission and a great recipe. And I learned that entrepreneurs look like all of us. You can look around and see, and how important it was to see that representation in that space. Limiting belief number 2, there are things that I'm good at and things that I'm not. We're all kind of put in buckets from a young age. Some people are identified with great people who do math, and some people identify with poets or writers. I was definitely in the bucket of people who stayed as far away from numbers as possible, which kind of is not doable if you want to run a financially viable business. And so it actually wasn't until an investor sat me down and told me that he didn't see me as a credible founder if I didn't know the numbers behind my own business. So with that bit of a wake-up call, I sat down and I started and I tried and I asked for help. And kind of like the bookshelf, it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be to look and make financial projections. They were my numbers behind my business. And so this taught me that knowing how to do something, it's not a prerequisite. A skill is something that you gain after you focus, you ask for help, and you try. We can't expect to know things by entering the space without having done them first. Limiting belief number 3, it is not safe to take up space. I think this was probably one of my more deeply rooted limiting beliefs. For a long time, I had thought that in order to be accepted, I needed to be as much of a pleasing and light presence as possible. It took a while for me to understand that I was solving a problem that was deserving of taking up a lot of space. I think a lot of women face limiting beliefs like this. I know that limiting beliefs will continue to arise, as they do in life. But I know also with practice, bravery, and persistence, I will not stand in my own way anymore. So I would like to share with all of you that if you feel like somewhere in your life you have a disassembled bookshelf or limiting beliefs that just seem so impossible to overcome, you already have the instruction manual and the tools, and you will build incredible things. Thank you.